The grand halls of the United Nations building had never felt so small. On this historic day in 2157, the air was thick with tension as humanity faced its first contact with the Galactic Empire. The massive viewing screens showed thousands of Imperial ships hanging in Earth's orbit, their golden hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Inside the Security Council chamber, Admiral James Stone watched the Imperial Ambassador Lord Drake stride in with perfect posture, his silver-blue skin reflecting the overhead lights. 6 tall Imperial guards flanked him, their armor making soft humming sounds with each step. The human representatives from various nations sat silently, their faces showing a mix of awe and concern. "Your species," Lord Drake began, his translator converting his musical language into English, "has been observed and deemed suitable for integration into the Empire." He paused, looking down at the assembled humans as if they were children. "We bring civilization, order, and peace to the galaxy. Your acceptance into our realm is not a request, but a statement of fact." Admiral Stone noticed how the alien ambassador didn't even bother to sit down. Classic power play, he thought, remembering his years of diplomatic training. The admiral glanced at the other human representatives, military leaders and politicians from Earth's most powerful nations. They had prepared for this moment ever since their long-range sensors detected the Empire's approach 3 months ago. "With all due respect, Ambassador," Stone spoke up, his voice calm but firm, "Earth and its colonies respectfully decline integration at this time." He stood up slowly, his decorated uniform catching the light. "We suggest you research our species more thoroughly before making any demands." Lord Drake's expression shifted slightly, his golden eyes narrowing. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The Empire has incorporated 10,000 species into its realm. None have refused. None have resisted. Your technology is primitive, your military forces insignificant." The UN Secretary-General raised her hand, and all eyes turned to her. "Ambassador Drake, we feel obligated to warn you. Humanity has a unique history among species you may have encountered. We have fought ourselves for thousands of years. Every piece of technology we own has been developed through conflict. Every strategy we know has been paid for in blood." Quiet murmurs filled the room as Lord Drake actually laughed, a tinkling sound like breaking glass. "You speak of primitive conflicts with primitive weapons. The Empire has maintained peace across 12 galaxies for 10,000 years. Your warning is noted but unnecessary." Admiral Stone stepped forward, his face grim. "Let me be clear, Ambassador. Earth has had over 15,000 wars in our recorded history. We've gone from fighting with sticks to splitting atoms in less than 10,000 years. We don't want war with the Empire, but we are ready for it. You dare threaten the Empire." Lord Drake's voice lost its musical quality, becoming sharp and cold. "No, Ambassador," Stone replied quietly. "We're warning you. There's a difference. Humanity has never known lasting peace. We've survived countless attempts at conquest, by ourselves and by nature. Our technology may seem primitive to you, but we've learned to be creative. We've learned to be ruthless when necessary." The Imperial Guards shifted uncomfortably as Stone continued. "We've developed weapons you can't imagine, because we've had to fight enemies you can't imagine. Ourselves. Every human child learns about war before they learn about peace. It's not something we're proud of, but it's something you should know before you make your next decision." Lord Drake stood silent for a long moment, his golden eyes studying the humans carefully for the first time. Then his face hardened. "You have 30 Earth days to surrender and begin integration. After that, we will demonstrate the true meaning of power." He turned sharply, his ornate robes swirling around him. As the ambassador and his guards left the chamber, Admiral Stone sat back down heavily. The Secretary-General looked at him with worried eyes. "Will they listen?" she asked quietly. Stone shook his head slowly. "No, they won't. They can't imagine that a primitive species could be a threat. That's why I made sure this entire meeting was broadcast across their fleet's communication channels." He smiled grimly. At least we can say we warned them. The chamber fell silent as the humans contemplated what was coming. Outside, the Imperial ships continued to shine in the sunlight, unaware that they had just started a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a command center that didn't officially exist, Admiral Stone watched as hundreds of screens showed military bases around the world springing to life. It had been 5 days since the Empire's ultimatum, and humanity was done hiding. "Display Project Phoenix," he ordered. The main screen lit up with a 3D model of Earth's hidden fleet, ships that no alien spy had ever detected, vessels built in underwater bases and secret mountain facilities, began emerging from their hiding places. "Status report," Stone called out to his command staff. Colonel Rogers, his head of operations, stepped forward. "Sir, all 20 hidden fleets are reporting ready. The Empire still thinks we only have those basic ships they can see in orbit." He smiled slightly. "They haven't noticed our stealth technology actually works better than theirs." The Admiral nodded, watching as another screen showed massive underground hangar doors opening in the Sahara Desert. "And the weapons?" "Dr. White's quantum cannons are fully operational," Rogers replied. "We've installed them on all major ships. The Empire won't expect weapons that can phase through their shields." He paused, checking his tablet. "They also don't know about our AI integration systems." Stone walked to the central hologram table, where a map showed the positions of Imperial ships. They were still sitting in orbit, proud and visible, probably thinking they were intimidating Earth. They didn't understand that humans had learned long ago to hide their true strength. "What about our ground forces?" Stone asked. Major Lisa Hayes spoke up from her station. "All Special Forces units are equipped with the new adaptive armor. Regular forces are being upgraded with plasma weapons." She brought up a new display. "The Empire thinks we're still using simple projectile weapons. They don't realize we reversed engineered most of their basic technology just by scanning their ships." Stone allowed himself a small smile. The Empire's arrogance was working in humanity's favor. They'd been so confident in their superiority that they hadn't bothered to hide their technology from Earth's primitive scanning systems. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out. "Message from the Mars Defense Command. The underground bases are fully activated. All 2 million colonists have been safely moved to the subsurface cities." This was what the Empire had missed in their observations. They saw the small Mars colony on the surface, but didn't detect the massive underground cities humanity had built over the past 50 years. They didn't know that humans had been preparing for alien contact, peaceful or otherwise, for decades. Admiral Stone looked at the countdown timer on the wall. 25 days until the Empire's deadline. "Show me the test results from yesterday," he ordered. The main screen changed to show footage of a human stealth ship approaching an Imperial patrol vessel. The alien ship never detected it. This was humanity's advantage. They thought differently than the Empire. "The Empire expects a straight fight," Stone explained to his staff. "They think we'll line up our ships and try to match their firepower. They don't understand that humans learned guerrilla warfare thousands of years ago. We don't fight fair. We fight to win." Colonel Rogers brought up another display showing Earth's hidden missile silos. "Sir, the new EMP warheads are ready. The Empire doesn't shield against electromagnetic pulses because they've never needed to. No species they fought ever thought to use them. Because they all follow the Empire's rules of war," Stone said quietly. "But humans, we've never been good at following rules." The command center hummed with activity as more reports came in. Across Earth and Mars, humans were preparing for a war unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They weren't preparing to fight with honor or follow the Empire's combat protocols. They were preparing to fight the way humans always fought, with every trick, every advantage, and every dirty tactic they'd learned from millennia of warfare. "Send word to all commands," Stone ordered. "Operation Shadow begins now. Let's show the Empire why we warned them to run." As his orders went out, Screens showed human ships vanishing from Imperial sensors, stealth fighters taking position near enemy vessels, and quantum weapons powering up. The Empire thought they were facing a primitive species. In 25 days, they would learn just how wrong they were. They would learn why humans had tried to warn them. Commander Anna Thompson stood on the bridge of her stealth ship, Silent Thunder, hidden among the rocks of Mars' largest asteroid belt. The Empire had gotten tired of waiting. With 10 days still left until their deadline, they'd launched their first attack on the Mars colony. "Poor choice," she whispered, watching the Imperial fleet approach Mars. "They've taken the bait. All ships report ready," her tactical officer reported. "The Empire still hasn't detected us." The Imperial fleet was massive, 50 warships moving in perfect formation toward Mars. Their golden hulls gleamed in the sunlight, their weapons charged and ready to destroy what they thought was a helpless colony. "Let them get closer," Anna ordered. "Wait for the signal." On her main screen, she watched as the Imperial ships approached the Mars defense platforms. The Empire thought these were Mars's only protection, simple weapon stations with basic shields. They had no idea they were flying into a trap. The Imperial commander's voice boomed across all channels. "This is High Commander Vale of the Imperial Fleet. Surrender now, and we will show mercy." Anna smiled. The Empire still thought they were dealing with scared primitives. She pressed her communication button. "This is Commander Thompson of the Earth Defense Force. We warned you to run." She gave the signal. Suddenly, the empty space around the Imperial fleet came alive. 20 human stealth ships dropped their cloaking fields, appearing so close to the Imperial ships that their crews could see each other through the viewports. The Empire's perfect formation broke apart in surprise. "All ships, execute Plan Thunder," Anna commanded. Her fleet opened fire with their quantum cannons, weapons that bypassed Imperial shields completely. The Empire had never seen anything like it. Their mighty shields meant nothing as human weapons phased through them, striking their hulls directly. "They're trying to regroup," her tactical officer shouted. "They're falling back to standard Imperial battle formation." "Exactly as expected," Anna replied. "Execute Phase 2. From the surface of Mars, hundreds of small fighters launched. But instead of attacking head-on as the Empire expected, these fighters did something no Imperial commander had ever seen. They deliberately flew into the asteroid belt. "They're hiding in the rocks." An Imperial officer's panicked voice came over the comm. "We can't track them." Anna watched as her plan unfolded. The Empire's ships were designed for grand battles in open space, not for close combat among asteroids. Their large ships couldn't maneuver quickly enough to follow the human fighters. "Launch EMP missiles," she ordered. Missiles shot out from hidden silos on Mars' surface. The Empire ignored them, their sensors showing no explosives aboard. That was their second mistake. When the missiles detonated, they released powerful electromagnetic pulses. Imperial ships, which had never needed EMP shielding before, found their systems shorting out. "Half their fleet is disabled," her tactical officer reported with amazement. "Their weapons are down." But the Empire wasn't finished. Their remaining ships launched thousands of fighter drones, standard Imperial protocol when main ships were threatened. Anna's smile grew wider. "Release our AI viruses." The human fleet had studied Imperial computer systems for days. Now they unleashed specialized AI programs that jumped from drone to drone. Within minutes, the Imperial fighter drones turned around and began attacking their own ships. "This is High Commander Vale. What sorcery is this?" The Imperial commander's voice shook with rage and fear. "This isn't sorcery," Anna replied calmly. "This is human warfare. We don't fight fair. We fight to win." The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, 30 Imperial ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest retreated in disorder, leaving their damaged ships behind. The Empire had just lost its first major battle in 1,000 years. Anna opened a channel to Earth Command. "Admiral Stone, Mars is secure." The Empire just learned their first lesson about human warfare. Good work, Commander. Stone's voice came back. But this was just the beginning. They'll be back, and next time they'll be angry. Anna looked at her tactical display, showing the retreating Imperial ships. Let them come back angry. We'll be ready. She turned to her crew. Today, we showed them why Earth warned them. Tomorrow, we'll show them why they should have listened. In the debris field that was once a proud Imperial fleet, human salvage ships were already moving in. Every piece of Imperial technology would be studied, every weakness found. Because that's what humans did. They learned, they adapted, and they got stronger. The first battle was over. The real war was about to begin. Captain Robert Wells watched from the bridge of his ship as thousands of Imperial warships emerged from hyperspace. The Empire had finally sent their real fleet, not just a small attack force, but an armada that darkened Earth's skies. They're angry now, he muttered, standing in the command center of his stealth carrier, Shadowblade. The Imperial fleet was massive, over 3,000 ships arranged in attack formation. Their new commander, Grand Admiral Voss, had clearly learned from their defeat at Mars. The Imperial ships were now running electronic countermeasures against human stealth technology. Too bad we already changed our stealth systems, Robert smiled grimly. His communication officer spoke up. Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. A deep voice echoed through the bridge. Attention, primitive species. I am Grand Admiral Voss. Your resistance ends today. The Empire will no longer show mercy. Surrender or be destroyed. Robert watched as Admiral Stone's response came from Earth. You still don't understand what you're facing, do you? Suddenly, the space around Earth lit up. Hidden defense platforms activated, revealing weapons the Empire had never seen before. The quantum cannons were gone. Humans never used the same trick twice. All ships, execute Operation Hornet's Nest, Robert commanded. From hidden positions around Earth's orbit, 500 human carriers launched their fighters. But these weren't normal fighters. Each one carried a pilot and an AI co-pilot, working together in perfect sync. The Empire had never seen anything like it. Sir, the Empire is launching their fighter screens, his tactical officer reported. Good, Robert replied. Let's show them why that's a mistake. The human fighters didn't engage the Imperial fighters directly. Instead, they broke into small groups, each one acting like a swarm of angry hornets. They darted in and out of the Imperial formation, striking weak points and vanishing before the larger ships could respond. They're trying to predict our attack patterns, his AI analyst reported. But they can't. Our pilots are thinking independently, not following standard protocols. The Empire's massive fleet started to show signs of confusion. They were used to enemies who fought according to rules and patterns. But humans had learned warfare from fighting themselves, where every battle was different, where tactics changed constantly. Sir, they're bringing in their heavy destroyers. Robert watched as huge Imperial ships moved forward, their planet-killer weapons charging. This was what they'd been waiting for. Launch Operation Ghost Fleet, he ordered. From Earth's oceans, hundreds of submarines that had been modified for space combat rose into orbit. The Empire had been scanning the skies for threats, never thinking to look in the water. These ships, crewed by veteran submarine commanders, brought centuries of underwater combat experience to space warfare. Submariners, show them how it's done, Robert commanded. The submarine ships moved through space like they moved through water, using gravity wells and debris fields as cover. They struck from impossible angles, their weapons designed to hit the exact weak points of Imperial ships that human spies had identified. Sir, the Empire is shifting to defensive formation Delta, his tactical officer called out. They're trying to protect their heavy destroyers. Now, Admiral Stone, Robert transmitted. From hidden bases on the moon, Earth's secret weapon revealed itself. Massive electromagnetic pulse cannons, built into the moon's craters, fired simultaneously. The Empire had developed countermeasures against normal EMPs after the Mars battle, but these were different. They were based on technology recovered from the Mars battlefield, modified by human engineers who had spent weeks studying how Imperial ships worked. Half of the Imperial fleet went dark. "Your species is insane." Grand Admiral Voss's voice crackled over the comm. "You risk destroying your own moon with such weapons." "No," Robert responded. "We're just willing to do whatever it takes to win." "There's a difference." The battle raged for hours. The Empire lost ship after ship, unable to adapt to human tactics that changed with every engagement. Their mighty fleet, which had conquered thousands of worlds, couldn't handle an enemy that fought with desperation and creativity instead of honor and protocol. Finally, after losing over 1,000 ships, the Imperial fleet retreated. But Robert didn't celebrate. He knew this was just the beginning. "They'll be back," he transmitted to Earth Command. "And next time, they'll bring everything they have." "Good," Admiral Stone's voice replied. "Because now they're starting to understand what we tried to warn them about. Humanity doesn't just fight wars. We change the rules of warfare itself." Dr. Helen White stood in Earth's primary quantum research facility, watching as data streamed across her screens. After studying the wreckage from dozens of Imperial ships, she had finally found their greatest weakness. The Empire never adapted, she explained to Admiral Stone, who stood beside her. "They've used the same technology for 1,000 years because no one ever forced them to change." The main screen showed the Imperial fleet regrouping at the edge of the solar system. This time, they had brought 10,000 ships, almost their entire military force. "They're getting desperate," Stone observed. "They've never faced an enemy they couldn't defeat quickly." Helen nodded, pointing to her latest invention. "And that's why they'll lose. Look at this." On a testing platform, a small device hummed quietly. It looked simple, almost primitive by Imperial standards. But appearances were deceiving, just like humanity itself. "What we're seeing in Imperial technology," Helen explained, "is perfect efficiency but zero adaptation. Their ships are identical because they found one perfect solution and stuck to it." She smiled. "But that means they all share the same weakness." Alarms suddenly blared through the facility. The Imperial fleet was moving, but not toward Earth. They were heading for Jupiter. Admiral Stone frowned. "They're going to try to use Jupiter's gravity to split their fleet, attack from multiple angles." He looked at Helen. "Are you ready?" "Better than ready," she replied. "I'm going to show them why humans never stop innovating." Across the solar system, the human fleet waited. They had fewer ships, only 2,000 compared to the Empire's 10,000. But they had something the Empire didn't. They had Helen's new weapon. "All ships, prepare to execute Operation Checkmate." Stone's voice echoed across all channels. "Dr. White, you have control." Helen activated her device. Across the human fleet, identical devices powered up. The Empire had taught humanity about quantum technology, thinking humans were too primitive to understand it. Now, humans would show them how wrong they were. The Imperial fleet began their complex maneuver around Jupiter, their ships moving in perfect, predictable formation. That was the moment Helen struck. Her quantum resonance waves spread across space. Every Imperial ship used the same quantum core design, efficient, powerful, and completely vulnerable to the specific frequency she had discovered. "Watch," she told Stone. Across the Imperial fleet, quantum cores began to desynchronize. Ships lost power, weapons went offline, and their perfect formation fell into chaos. The Empire had never considered that someone would find a way to target the very foundation of their technology. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," Stone commanded. The human fleet moved in. Their ships were all different. Some built for speed, others for power, each one unique. There was no single weakness to exploit because humans had learned long ago not to rely on any single advantage. "Imperial Command, this is Admiral Stone," he broadcast. We warned you about facing humanity in war. We warned you that we think differently. This is your last chance to retreat." The Imperial response came quickly. "We are the Empire. We do not retreat." "As you wish," Helen said quietly, and increased the power. More Imperial ships went dark. Those that still had power tried to fight back, but their weapons were calibrated for large-scale battles, not the close-quarters chaos that humans excelled at. The human fleet struck from all angles, using tactics learned from centuries of naval warfare on Earth's oceans. Submarines turned spaceships attacked from below. Carriers launched swarms of fighters, and stealth ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "Their fleet is breaking apart," Stone's tactical officer reported. "They're losing formation. They're running." For the first time in its history, the main Imperial fleet was retreating in disorder. Their perfect tactics had failed them. Their superior technology had been turned against them. Their unbeatable armada had been defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Helen watched the Imperial ships flee, knowing this was the turning point. "They finally understand," she said to Stone. "We weren't lying when we warned them." "No," Stone agreed, "but now they have an even bigger problem." He looked at the retreating Imperial fleet. "Now they know that humans don't just fight wars. We revolutionize them, and we're not done yet." The Empire had ruled the galaxy through superior technology and unchanging tactics. Now they faced an enemy that adapted, innovated, and never fought the same way twice. The real question was, how do you defeat an enemy that turns your own strengths into weaknesses? The Empire was about to find out. General Mark Anderson watched the massive hologram showing the space around Alpha Centauri. The remnants of the Imperial fleet had gathered here for their final stand. 5,000 ships, including their legendary planet breakers. This was everything the Empire had left. "They're desperate now," his executive officer said. "They pulled ships from every corner of their empire." Mark nodded. "And that's exactly what we wanted them to do." The human fleet approached slowly, only 1,000 ships, but each one different, each one special. They had learned and adapted from every battle. Unlike the Empire's identical ships, each human vessel was now unique, modified and improved based on battle experience. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Imperial Command," his communication officer reported. The hologram shifted to show Supreme Commander Rex, the Empire's highest military leader. His silver-blue face showed something the Empire had never experienced before: fear. "This is your last chance," Rex announced, trying to sound confident. "Surrender now, or we will destroy your entire species. We have planet breakers aimed at Earth." Mark smiled slightly. "Supreme Commander, I think it's time you learned the last lesson about humanity." He pressed a button, and the space around the Imperial fleet lit up. "We're not just good at fighting wars. We're good at laying traps." Suddenly, hyperspace windows opened all around the Imperial fleet. But instead of ships coming through, thousands of human missiles appeared, launched days ago on calculated trajectories to arrive at this exact moment. "What trickery is this?" Rex demanded. "No trickery," Mark replied. "Just math. You see, while you were gathering your fleet, we were solving physics problems." The missiles streaked toward the Imperial ships. They didn't carry normal explosives. They carried Dr. White's quantum resonance devices, each one tuned to a different frequency. The Empire couldn't defend against all of them. "All ships, execute Operation Endgame," Mark commanded. The human fleet split into smaller groups, each one attacking with different tactics. Some used old-style ballistic weapons that the Empire's modern shields couldn't stop. Others used modified Imperial technology in ways its creators never imagined. "They're trying to break through to retreat," his tactical officer shouted. "No," Mark said calmly. "They're trying to reach their planet breakers, just as we planned." The Imperial fleet's movements became predictable as they tried to protect their superweapons. That's when Mark revealed humanity's final surprise: launched the Ghost Fleet. From behind Alpha Centauri's nearest star emerged 100 human ships made almost entirely of stealth technology. They had been hiding there for weeks, using the star's radiation to mask their presence. These ships had been built for one purpose: to strike at the planet breakers. Impossible. Rex's voice cracked. No species can build ships that close to a star. Humans can, Mark replied. Because we had to. Because you forced us to think of things no one else would try. The Ghost Fleet struck with surgical precision. Each planet breaker was targeted by multiple ships, their attacks synchronized to overcome any possible defense. One by one, the Empire's most powerful weapons went dark. You planned this from the beginning, Rex realized. Even your defeats, they were planned. Mark nodded. We lost those early battles on purpose, Supreme Commander. Each loss taught us something about how you fight. Each retreat gave us more data about your technology. We weren't just fighting a war. We were learning how to defeat an empire. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Empire's rigid tactics, once their strength, had become their weakness. They couldn't adapt to human strategies that changed with every passing minute. Finally, Supreme Commander Rex's voice came again, but this time it was different. General Anderson, we surrender. Mark looked at the battlefield. The mighty Imperial fleet was in ruins. The empire that had ruled for 10,000 years had been defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitive. We tried to warn you, Mark said quietly. We told you that humanity was different. We gave you a chance to run. He turned to his crew, seeing pride in their eyes. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious, not through overwhelming force, but through innovation, adaptation, and the willingness to try the impossible. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Tell them it's over. The Empire has learned its final lesson about humanity. The lesson was simple. Never underestimate a species that had learned warfare by fighting itself. The peace conference room aboard the neutral station Unity was silent as Admiral Stone walked in. 1 year had passed since the Empire's surrender at Alpha Centauri. Representatives from 1,000 alien species watched as he took his seat across from Supreme Leader Marcus, the Empire's civilian ruler. The Supreme Leader looked tired. His once proud silver-blue skin had dulled, and his golden eyes had lost their shine. The war had changed the Empire forever. The terms are simple. Stone began, his voice carrying across the chamber. Earth doesn't want your territory. We don't want to rule your empire. We just want you to remember the lesson you learned. Marcus nodded slowly. We remember, Admiral. You taught us much about humility. He looked around the room. But there is something I must know. How did you do it? How did a single planet defeat an empire of 10,000 worlds? Stone smiled slightly. Because you made a mistake that every human child learns to avoid. You assumed that what worked yesterday would work tomorrow. The main screen activated, showing footage from the war. Imperial ships fighting with perfect formation, using tactics unchanged for 1,000 years. Then it showed human ships, each battle different, each strategy new. You see, Stone continued, humans never stopped learning because we never stopped fighting ourselves. Every war taught us something new. Every battle made us adapt. Dr. Helen White stepped forward, carrying a small device, the quantum resonator that had helped win the war. Your technology was perfect, she explained. But perfect things are predictable. Humans, we're messy. We try things that shouldn't work. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes they change everything. The Supreme Leader looked at the device with newfound respect. And now, what becomes of the Empire? Now you learn to change, Stone replied. The peace treaty requires the Empire to establish research centers, to encourage innovation. You'll learn to think differently. And if we refuse? Stone's expression hardened. Then you'll remember that we only used a fraction of our ideas in this war. We have many more. The Supreme Leader signed the treaty without further questions. As he did, Screens around the room showed celebrations breaking out across Earth and its colonies. Humanity had not just survived. They had changed the galaxy forever. Later, in a private meeting room, Stone met with his old command staff. Commander Thompson, Captain Wells, General Anderson, and Dr. White. The team that had helped humanity win an impossible war. "Did you see the latest reports?" Thompson asked, smiling. "Some of the younger Imperial officers are already starting to experiment with their ship designs. They're learning." "That's good," Stone nodded. "The galaxy needs change. It needs innovation." He looked out the window at the stars. "But more importantly, it needs to understand why we warned them." "They understand now," Dr. White said. She brought up a hologram showing new Imperial training documents. The first page read, Lesson 1, The Human Warning. The documents explained how a species that seemed primitive had deceived the Empire. How humans had used the Empire's own arrogance against them. How Earth's warning hadn't been a threat. It had been a genuine attempt to prevent unnecessary destruction. "They're teaching their children about us," Wells noted, "about why they should have listened." "Good," Stone said firmly, "because that's the real victory here. Not defeating the Empire, but teaching them, and everyone else, why they should think twice before assuming they understand what they're facing." The room fell quiet as they thought about the cost of that lesson. The Empire had lost thousands of ships and countless lives learning what humanity had tried to tell them from the start. "So what now?" Anderson asked. Stone smiled. "Now we do what humans have always done. We prepare for tomorrow's challenges, not yesterday's victories. We keep learning, keep adapting, keep changing." He looked at his team, seeing the same determination in their eyes that had helped win the war. "Because that's the final lesson about humanity. We never stop evolving. And now the galaxy knows why we warned them to run. Not because we wanted to fight, but because we knew how the fight would end." Outside the station, Earth ships patrolled alongside their former enemies, their different designs a testament to humanity's message. True strength comes not from perfection, but from the constant drive to improve. The Empire had learned its lesson. The galaxy had a new understanding of humanity. And somewhere, on a distant world, another alien race was reading about Earth's warning and deciding that maybe, just maybe, some warnings should be heeded. The end.